Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop, or maybe not with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is back on assignment, and Charles is on assignment. He's actually down at Prairie View calling the quarterfinals as a sideline reporter for the SWAC Women's Soccer Tournament Championship. So he's in the quarterfinals today, so it'll be interesting to see. Happy Thursday, HBCU family. Mary, Jeff Roberts, Aggie Pride is in the house. Let me give a formal welcome. Welcome to episode 579 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small. From the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop, or as I said, maybe not. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper. That's multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. As we get in, I'll kind of do some updates with some news and get you going. But today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency, LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. With that being said, we will likely see if we can find some folks to join us in some form or fashion to make sure that you get your updates. We'll look into the major division updates and segment 2 and 3, and we'll follow up with some of those big games according to the top rankings, what's on your mind. We did a lot of that on Thursday for the mid-major, and if you hadn't seen it, go check out D2 football, HBCU football, if you would, with Stephen Gaither and Ferguson, as they give a breakdown on the SIEC. We did a little bit of that on Tuesday, but the breakdown they provide for the CIAA is informative and quite hilarious, to be honest with you. With that being said, one of the big news is everybody knows is out there that ESPN's First Take to broadcast live at Morehouse College. That is November 8th. This is the third edition. In the last division, they were formerly at Howard back in September. They went to Tennessee State in October. And Clark, Atlanta, November 8th is tomorrow. Showtime. Spelman Knights, you're invited. Let's get ready to have some fun. The show kicks off at its normal time, as you know, 10 a.m. Eastern. That is 9 a.m. Central. I'll be watching to see the festivities and how things going after I get closing out on my normal workout Monday through Friday. So I'll be getting prepared to get into the office as I watch that on my walk from the gym to my office. That a little more information on that. First Take, ESPN's signature morning show, debate show featuring the renowned commentator and executive producer Stephen A. Smith, as you know, HBCU graduate himself, Stephen Gaither, from his alma mater, if you would, which is Winston-Salem State University. The Rams host Molly Kerm wraps up its fall HBCU tour with a live broadcast from Morehouse College is the official release. That is Friday, November the 8th. As you know, this event marks the final installment of 3-show series highlighting historically Black colleges and universities. They'll be at the location Century, Campus Green at Morehouse College, located at 830 Westview, Dr. Drive on Southwest Atlanta, Georgia, 30314, for all those that don't know. The broadcast will go to 10 to 12, the normal 2 hours. Morehouse College, together The Spelman College and Clark University form one of the oldest and largest HBCU consortia. The show coincides with the Morehouse versus Clark Atlanta rivalry game, which takes place at B.T. Harvey Stadium in Atlanta on Saturday, underscoring the importance of HBCU sports and community. Big matchup as Clark Atlanta is looking to continue their winning ways. It'll be fascinating to see what that looks like. A lot of interest there in terms of what's taking place. Obviously, we talked about the SWAC announcer seedings. A little bit of update there. You had Texas Southern that came in at 6-1 in SWAC in the tournament as the number 1 seed, and they faced off on Prairie View. We'll get some of those updates for you. You had the Grambling State, which claimed number 2 seed, while Southern claimed the 3 seed and the 4 seed, which games are coming on tonight. So I'll be interested in giving you little updates in terms of what those score is. With that being said, let's get into a little more news as we get going. I was fascinating when you think about the HBCU NFL prospects, news, school, all-time sack record from HBCU game day. That's Morgan State's defensive standout, Elijah Williams. You get to look at the media call. You heard Coach from Morgan State talk about just how terrific it was. As you see, Brian has joined us on the phone, so we'll get him in here shortly to see how he's doing today, what's his thoughts, and what are some HBCU news. But just to give you this update, 28 career sacks to date. Williams is closing in on Chris Robinson's record of 28.5, which was set between 2011 and 2014. Over his 4 years with the Bears, Williams has amassed a remarkable 196 tackles and 4.5 tackles for loss, solidifying his place as a cornerstone of Morgan State's defense, a key figure in HBCU football, and an NFL prospect. He switched positions from linebacker to defensive tackle, and you see, and defensive end as he specialized, now moving from making all those tackles to making sacks as well. So fascinating when you talk about his career path as a freshman. Williams posted 52 total tackles and 4 sacks, laying the foundation for his record. 2022, this was a breakout year where Williams racked up incredible 19 tackles for losses and 9 sacks, quickly making a name for himself in the HBCU football. 2023, Williams continued to dominate with 50 tackles, 7 sacks, and his first forced fumble, further establishing his defensive reputation. And this year, thus far in 2024, Williams is on pace for career highs with 8 sacks, 8.5 tackles for loss in just 8 games. Again, Damon Wilson has heaped a lot of praise on Williams for both his skill and leadership. Nothing that his growth has been exceptional. He's a graduate already. Elijah's progress each year has been phenomenal, end quote, said Wilson. Formed from his first season, he's shown not just the talent, but an understanding of the game that rare. His high football IQ lets him anticipate plays, which has been a huge advantage for our defense, end quote. With that being said, Brian, what are your thoughts on this young man, Elijah Williams? Brian, are you there? Well, let's keep it rolling. In fact, let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side and see if we can get these folks in as we move forward. Let's take our first break and come back and see what we can get done after this early break.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Still waiting on Brian to join us back in a minute here. We'll see if we can get him going, bringing us with us as well as Brandon. But as we're doing that, let's finish up on some news of the day and give you some more highlights when we talk about MEAC announcers weekly volleyball honors. Coppin State's Kenya Stafford was named the Mid-Eastern Conference MEAC Player of the Week presented by Coca-Cola. Norfolk State's Reagan Chelsom was named Rookie of the Week. Howard's Leah Reeves and Dami Ajawobi earned Setter and Defensive Player of the Week honors, respectively. What's fascinating is just how Howard, the women of Howard, are dominating the conference thus far. But when you look at Stanford, the junior Ohio recorded 28 kills and 27 digs, helped the Eagles to a 2-0 week in the match against South Carolina. She notched 10 kills and 8 digs. Mike loves the kills and the digs terminology, followed by an impressive 18 kill, 19 dig performance in a 4-set win over North Carolina Central. Chelsom helped the Spartans to a 2-0 week with a pair of 5-set wins over Maryland Eastern Shore and Delaware State. Chelsom registered 15 blocks on the week, including 10 in the match against DSU, ranking her 4th in NSU records for blocks in a game. She added 10 kills and 1 service ace to round out the weekend. Reeves, on the other hand, the junior specialist, registered a impressive 68 assists. That's 11.33 average, 4 aces and 9 digs and 2 wins for the Bison. In the match against Delaware State, she collected 38 assists along with 6 digs and 3 aces, getting it done. Owajobi contributed 5 blocks. The senior there with that's .83 average, 18 digs, and 20 kills in a 2-0 week versus Howard, and she got it done in a victory over Maryland Eastern Shore. She registered her 6th double-double of the season with 12 kills and 11 digs and 4 blocks. I know everybody's a little interested, although he's moved on. He was at Jackson State. It was a Jackson State transfer, but Shedeur Sanders kind of shocked some people, if you would, in terms of entering the 2020 NFL draft, as he said he would. I don't know folks that were kind of asleep and thought this was a big surprise, but I guess the fact that he said it live in the video as he's joking around with his teammates, Shedeur Sanders, the Colorado football star and Jackson State transfer, made it clear he will not be back at Colorado for 2025 season and will be entering the 2025 NFL draft. A video by Well Off Media run by Deion Sanders Jr. shows Colorado players discussing spring semester class registration, but Sanders made it clear he's not registered for classes next semester. I'm going to the league. Sanders said with a smile, i.e. registration. I know after last game, man, y'all not going to see me, end quote. Made it real clear. Shedeur Sanders, if you would, is a senior on the field, but another season of eligibility could be his if he wanted to. However, he made it clear that won't be the case, and he'll be entering the NFL draft. Many people have him as a top pick, certainly top 5. The question I have for you all, just what are your thoughts in terms of this? Many people have him in the Heisman race. Obviously, his teammate, dual threat, maybe a higher. You got a quarterback down there in Miami, Ward, is getting a lot of love, which is fascinating to me because you could have 2 FCS transfers in the Heisman race finalists, which is incredible when you think about it, but it tells you the changes of the landscape when you talk about the transfer portal. So if you would, those kind of mix in there, Brian, what are your thoughts in terms of Shedeur Sanders?
I think Shedeur will be the first quarterback drafted in the 2025 NFL draft. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't know, because actually between him and Cam Ward, it is going to be a hit or miss as to which one. I do actually think, though, his teammate is the better Heisman candidate on the Colorado team. I just think a guy who can play as many snaps as Travis Hunter plays, both sides of the ball, make an impact on both sides of the ball. I think that's going to, because he's so unique, that's going to draw more eyes, unless Shedeur all of a sudden puts up some ridiculous numbers here down the stretch. I think Cam Ward is probably the odds-on quarterback, with Hunter being the Colorado guy to get that opportunity, and then watch out for that running back from Boise State. But I like Shedeur. He's nails. He's nails. He's a tough kid, and can't wait to see which NFL team he goes to.
I agree. Great analysis there. Let me get your thoughts on that, 80, Drew.
Well, I agree with Brian that Travis Hunter is definitely probably the leader of the two when it comes to the Heisman. I also want to know, Brian, will Travis Hunter get drafted before Shedeur?
That's where I'm putting my number one. Yeah. Yes.
Is going to come back and register for spring classes either. If he does, if he does, we know that NIL money that he's getting right now, it has to be sweet if he's willing to stay another year, because for both of these gentlemen, well, more for Travis than Shedeur. For Travis, it's definitely a life-changing money. For Shedeur, where Shedeur was born into life-changing money already, so it's just going to be a continuation. He just won't be on mom and dad's dime anymore. But the one thing with Shedeur, how dangerous can Shedeur be if he ever gets on a team that has a decent offensive line? We saw what he did at Jackson State when he had an offensive line, but at Colorado, he has not had the type of protection that he had at Jackson State, comparatively speaking, based on the level. So, knowing Prime, knowing Shedeur, there are going to be some teams where he will not go and play, and he's going to pull an Eli Manning or a who was the other quarterback, John Elway, and I am not going to that team. Don't draft me because I will not report. So, and he has that much juice right now. So that's what's going to be interesting to see. He will not be a Carolina Panther. Mark my word.
Is that a bad job though? The Carolina Panthers might not be a bad job though.
It is right now.
He will not be a Carolina Panther.
All right.
I don't think Coach Prime will do everything not to let that happen. He made it clear in terms of the teams he would like to see him go to. And I think he has the unique position and power to kind of push those items.
I would love to see Shedeur in Pittsburgh.
Now, this is the question I want to ask you in terms of bringing it back to HBCU in some framework. And this is intriguing. I'm really fascinated. Obviously, Colorado, I'm sure, has in a position with the size of its institutions, its online degree capabilities. Jackson State, I'm sure, is moving to that. What are your thoughts in terms of him finish up his degree? Obviously, his brother finished at Jackson State in the off season. Would you see him coming back to do a degree, I guess, from that framework? And if so, would you see it do it at Jackson State or Colorado? I'm gonna go with you, AD Drew, to kind of get your thoughts on that. Now, you know, as a dean, I had to ask that question, the academic side. See, y'all get excited about the other stuff.
As an HBCU person, I would love to see him actually finish at Jackson State. You know, hey, your dad's degree came from an HBCU. Yeah, he didn't finish at Florida State, y'all. He finished at Talladega.
That's right.
Your brother finished at Jackson State.
Mm-hmm.
Your sister did the HBCU, did the HWCU, and now she's back at an HBCU. So something tells me you don't want to be that one eyeball at the Thanksgiving table talking about, yeah, I graduated from the HWCU. But will it be in 2025, Dr. Cavil? No, it will not. He will not finish in 2025 at the draft because there's too much of a transition. I mean, he would probably be in the league 2-3 years before he would actually come back and finish that degree, probably just because of the transition that it takes to play at that level.
His update says that he will finish in December, I guess, from Colorado. But because I put it on the table, why not, Brian? If that's
master's, he can get a master's.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He can always get a master's from Jackson State. I think it would be cool. I think what'll be interesting, you know, I don't know about Travis Hunter, so let's just. I don't know. Look, I don't know.
He's from Atlanta, so he understands the culture a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder on draft day what the optics will play out like when they say the school you went to. You know, that always is an interesting, you know, will he say he went to Colorado, or will he acknowledge the 2 years at Jackson State? You know, there's so many kids that transfer. Like, there are people out there who have played at 3 different schools. Like Cam Ward, and he played at 3 schools or maybe 2. I don't know. There's a lot of kids playing at 2 and 3 schools. I don't know. I'm sure for the purposes of claiming him, I'm sure it'd be nice for him to add Jackson State onto the resume. So
I think they're pretty good at that. I think what they'll do is, like they've done a lot, it won't even be really magic. They'll put the little screen up there and they'll say Jackson State transferred to Colorado. So they'll put both of them in there in the bylines in terms of what they're doing. They'll ask them questions about how does it feel about the place he's going, how does it feel like to follow in your dad's footsteps. Those are the questions they'll ask in terms of that. But I think he'll won't even have to worry about acknowledge because they'll put it on the byline up there. Yes, because they'll give all his stats. Remember, they're going to give all his stats. So they're going to give his stats from FCS to the total. Go ahead, AD.
You know, on Monday Night Football, when the players actually introduce themselves, and some of them say they high school, some of them say, some of them say they college, some of them say some crazy stuff. What was Shedeur say?
That's going to be
inquiring mind wants to know. What will he claim on Monday Night Football?
That's a good one. That's a good one. And that'll be probably further down the line when that happens, when he literally gets a chance to be a starter. I don't think anybody's going to have him starting his rookie year.
We didn't see two rookie starting quarterbacks the last 2 years.
Yeah.
One of them right there in your backyard, Dr. Cavil.
Yeah, we've seen it. I mean, even with Richardson, we've seen that pretty early. But so. And we'll find out where he's going, but that's fascinating. With that being said, before we take our next break and start talking about some of the action on the field with the current SWAC and MEAC teams, as well as Tennessee State in the last segment with the other independents. Any additional news you want to get out there, Brian?
No, I really don't actually. You know, I'm out of the loop a bit, kind of catching up on things. I've been paying attention to a lot of basketball scores. Now that this is the first week of the basketball season.
Speaking of basketball scores, Brian, I watched the end of the UAPB game they had on the road. They were up 17 at one point in the game, playing really well. Had a 4-point lead, key play. They got a missed shot, went down, missed the layup, fouled the lady on the backside, so it's 2 points. Couldn't quite close it out, and essentially the other team hit a 3, and they lost by 1. But, I mean, they were right there, so close to getting that victory. It was tough to watch. When they played so well, not to be able to do the finer things at the end to really close it out. Drew, we talked about, if you would, the big day tomorrow for Morehouse. And obviously Clark Atlanta.
We ain't talking about that school down the street.
Right.
We talking about our sisters. We ain't talking about the school down the street.
In terms of that matchup, because I'm sure they're going to be there, excited. But I get what you're saying. On the thing, they did put it on there. But with that being said, we already talked about the release first take, whatever. But what I want to know is for a lot of folks that hadn't had this opportunity, talk about what it's like in the back scene of helping put that together, getting the messages. You know, take a couple of minutes and tell us what's that like for folks that would have an interest of talking about the backside of what it takes to pull this off.
Well, from these conversations started way back in August about first take coming to campus. This was originally a Morehouse event, but then with the uniqueness of the two schools right there at the AU playing against each other, it was very wisely marketed as a joint event. Now, the Morehouse people, we've said one thing. As long as we've got one more person there than Clark, we good, because we can't let them folk down the street outdo us. So, but going with the marketing of this, you know, a lot of this is controlled by the mothership, by ESPN. They really want to do a blitz the 2 weeks, and with us being at the tail end of the 3 that they did this year, Tennessee State and Howard preceding us, you know, we've had the opportunity to sit back, watch them, and kind of adjust it to fit our culture at our two institutions. Now, the last week to 10 days have been a little intense, especially when you couple that CAU had homecoming and then Morehouse had homecoming the week afterwards. So after both of our homecomings, we're getting into this intense last minute, making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And then even once you dot all the I's and cross all the T's, you still get the people on campus, and something that was not planned for has to be adjusted. And I'll give you a perfect example, Dr. Cavil. When they did a site visit back in like late August, early September, you know, they were trying to figure out the routes that they had to take to get the stage in, because the stage comes in on a basically on a tractor trailer, and it expands out to 24 feet. Since then, an air conditioning unit is now in the parking lane of where the truck was originally supposed to go. So they literally had to figure out an alternate route Wednesday of how to get the stage to the place where the stage was supposed to be at, because the stage had to go in that place. So that's what I'm talking about, how things get intense and change. And you've got two institutions that you're dealing with, two IT departments, two marketing departments, two sports information departments, two of everything trying to coordinate, because this is the only set of HBCUs that can do this event at this level because of the proximity of the two HBCUs and the rivalry between the two HBCUs. So it's going to be a unique experience. I am looking forward to it. I am not looking forward to not getting any sleep tonight. I'm not looking forward to the long hours I'm going to have to spend afterwards to catch up on the work that I would normally do on a Friday morning. But during that time, you know, I got one job doing the show, Dr. Cavil. I got two jobs.
I'm gonna give you a third.
I have to greet the media that are going to be there.
Okay.
And then make sure that my head coach shows up to the set for his time for his interview. Those are my main two. Those are the two jobs that I have to do tomorrow.
Can I give you a third?
You go ahead, Brian.
I bet you can't guess what my third is going to be, Drew.
I think he wants a picture.
I bet you if it's something crazy, me and you gonna have it out, man.
No, look. Can I get? Look, I know they're gonna have promotional photo. Can I get a promotional photo signed by Molly? That's all I'm gonna ask. That's it.
We gonna try.
I appreciate it. Just the effort. Make the effort, Drew. Make the effort.
We gonna try. You'll get the.
I don't want a picture. I don't want a picture of you with Molly. I don't need that.
Oh, you see, you.
And I don't need a picture of just Molly herself. I can get that on the internet. I want a signed photo from Molly saying, "Hey, Brian, sorry I missed you." That's it.
Well, I promise you, I'll give you these updates from this morning. You had 1 versus 8. That's Texas Southern versus Prairie View. Texas Southern moves on, and they win 2-0 and sends Prairie View home from their own field. You also had a match featuring 2 versus 7. That was Grambling 2 and Mississippi Valley State, the Delta Devils at 7. And you had a score on that one with Grambling, the Tigers winning 3-0. Current game is featuring 4 versus 5, which is Alabama A&M as the 4th seed and Jackson State Tigers as the 5th seed. And currently the Bulldogs are on top 2-1 over Jackson State. If we get a final on that game, we'll give you an update. But with that being said, we wanted to give you that. The last game of the night will be Southern, the 3 seed versus the 6 seed Alabama State. And that starts at 7 o'clock, approximately 30 minutes after that 4 or 5 seed is done. Actually, 4 or 5 seed was held at 1 o'clock, so that's a final there. So we're just waiting to that 7 o'clock match. With that being said, let's take our next break, and we'll come back on the other side, and we'll start talking about some of these football matchups since we got all the other stuff out of the way.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Hey, grab me one too.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember. They can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft. Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more. But it's so absorbent, you can use less. So it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less? You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. As we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Yes, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop are on assignment, but it takes inside the HBCU Sports Lab to bring back sports rap duo together, Brian Fulford and AD Drew. It would only be appropriate for us to do it on this show. Usually you all get to talk about the close of games on Sunday when y'all do your traditional show together. Some cases you get to do some far-reaching viewpoints of the following Saturday's game. But I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. There's a big matchup that features top 4 teams. So while we'll focus a lot more on the major division, I want to give you a little bit of something on the mid-major division, where a lot of the action is this weekend. We have the number 1 team, Virginia Union Panthers, that were released Tuesday as the new number 1 as Johnson C. Smith failed. They only fell 1 spot. They fell number 2. You talk about whether you agree with that or not in the mix of you giving your updates. But Virginia Union Panthers, 7-2 or 6-0. They have clinched, as I said. AD Drew gave me an update and I watched it. You can go talk to the HBCU D2 show with Stephen Gaither and Ferguson as they break down, and really Stephen breaks down the madness of play. And AD Drew just was loving it with his comments. Chaos. I even had to admit that breakdown that they did was chaotic in itself. But this one, we're going to talk about them going on the road to Petersburg, Virginia, Rogers Stadium, to visit the number 4 team, Virginia State Trojans, that are just as hot, that come in at 6-3, 5-1. Although I was looking at it, the fact that Virginia's Union may be kicked out of the playoffs, the way he broke it down is they're in regardless, based on tiebreakers and things of that nature. Whether they lose or win, they're in. But Virginia State has to win to even have a shot. And so I want to know your thoughts on this matchup. Virginia Union Panthers, again, 7-2, 6-0. On the road at Virginia State Trojans, a true rivalry game, public-private institution. CIAA members for who knows how long. 6-3, 5-1. Brian Fulford, what are your thoughts in terms of this matchup?
I'm excited about this matchup. This is a great opportunity. It always seems like one of these two teams is either going to advance to the championship game or miss out on the championship game as a result of this game. And that's what makes great rivalries. I mean, we've seen Virginia Union's hopes be spoiled in this contest, and we've seen them advance because of this. I don't think we've seen Virginia State in the recent memory, and I'm talking post-COVID, make it to the championship game as a result of this matchup. So I don't know if Virginia State has enough horses in the tank, though. To be honest with you, I just think the last 2 weeks that what Virginia Union has done, 91 points. The week before, when Jada Byers ran over, 3 different teams, in one day. I don't know. I mean, if Virginia State keeps it close going into the fourth quarter, maybe we're talking about something. But I think Union wins by at least 2 touchdowns.
With that being said, let me go to you, Drew. What are your thoughts in terms of this top matchup?
Every time I think about this game, I think about it had to be like 2017, the failed water bucket play.
I was thinking of that too.
I don't even remember who mucked it up. I just remember the failed water bucket play at the end of the game.
Right.
Yeah, I think, was that in overtime or was it in regulation?
It was. I think it was in overtime. Or either no. Yeah, it was in overtime. I think it was in overtime.
I had that on my hard drive for so long, just as one of those clips that you just never get rid of. And by the way, the other clip that I had on my hard drive that I never got rid of was when the Jackson State Bethune in the MEAC Swag Challenge when the mascot got called for the unsportsmanlike and got thrown out the game for pulling the guy off. But anyway, that's a sidebar. Let's get down to these stats. Virginia State is averaging 168 yards on the ground, which in normal is except when you're going up against Virginia Union, who's averaging almost 100 yards more at 259 per game. Let's think about that. They are averaging 90 yards more per game on the ground. Virginia State gives up 113 yards per game on the ground, and Union gives up 138 yards per game on the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, when it all comes down to it, it's going to come down to one thing. Who can establish their run game while at the same time stop the other team from running the game? Because you could literally have 800 yards of combined offense between these two teams, and neither quarterback for either team throw over 100 yards. That's the type of game this could be. So, is that going to be fun for the fans? And last but not least, could this be a Rocky series where you're going to have Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 back-to-back weeks? Ali Frazier, back-to-back weeks? It realistically could happen. We all know the chaos of that. Not chaos. That wouldn't be chaos. But it could happen where these two teams face each other back-to-back in consecutive weeks. And only reason that can happen, no divisions.
Good stuff, good stuff. See, we have Brandon in the mix. We'll get him going after this break. We're going to let him get secure a little bit there, and then we'll bring him when we're talking about a little bit about Tennessee State when we get to the division. With that being said, let's focus a little bit more. Fort Valley State, Albany State. I have that as a 7 versus 11. They're off the top, even outside of the top 10 for the big rivalry matchup. Are you going? Which way are you looking at that matchup? I'm gonna go with you, Brian. I'm gonna leave you out of this one, AD Drew, because of your connection to Morehouse, and I want to make sure you get any trouble there. So I want to do the analysis for you, Brian. What are your thoughts about this? Fort Valley State, the Wildcats, 6-3, 6-1. Albany State Golden Rams sit at 4-5-2. Fort Valley State has a significant opportunity to win this game, and they'll put themselves in a position to be playing for a championship in terms of how things are going on there. What are your thoughts of this matchup? Golden Rams have an outside shot, but they need a lot of things to really go well for them. So I'm not even going to get into that. You can go to HBCU Game Day, look up the tiebreakers if you want. I shared that on Tuesday, so I'll leave it right there. But, Brian, Wildcats versus the Golden Rams.
I thought Fort Valley State would be the team or one of the two teams that would get in the championship game. Their one loss to Clark, correct? At the beginning of the season?
Yes.
I think this is a team that's I watched them. I was able to call them against Everett Waters, and they looked the part. They do. They look the part in all aspects, offense, defense, special teams. I think they have a running back that should be the player of the year in the conference. Brandon Marshall is there's some good running backs in the at this level, even in the SIC. But I think Brandon Marshall will be in the running for SIC Player of the Year. So yeah, I'm going with Fort Valley State in this one. I'm gonna hedge. I'm gonna hedge my bets there, and I'm not gonna live in the world of chaos that Drew would love to see, and and just hope it's a clean, good matchup that we get in the SIC championship. But we'll see.
Miles Golden Bears 72-7-0. They have clinched championship spot. They take on their rivals Tuskegee. It's on the road. Tuskegee will have the lights. The game will be played early there. So Charles and Mike were really giving them a hard time about that. they wanted to see that going on. Brandon is ready to go, so we'll get him in the mix. Tuskegee Golden Tigers sit at 5-4, 5-2. Again, they need a lot of help in terms of not only to win this game, but some other things that go the way. Let me stick with you, Brian. Your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm trying to understand how the timing on all this is curious. Like, is Tuskegee hoping for a partly cloudy day? Are you really? I mean, you get all this, you almost want a partly cloudy day with some rain so that you can turn on the lights, don't you? You don't want a bright, sunshiny day. You did all this work to get the lights, and then you have the final game. You got the homecoming game, and then you get a bright, sunny day at 3 in the afternoon. Man, come on, Tuskegee. Come on, Mother Nature. Give them an opportunity to cut the lights on. They may just cut the lights on for the hell of it, obviously, but I'm hoping that Mother Nature comes through. The Centennial Homecoming for Tuskegee. How do you not schedule this thing at twilight, 5 o'clock? How about 5 o'clock? You don't have to do 6 o'clock. At least 5 o'clock, because it's 5 o'clock Central Time is really 6 o'clock Eastern Time, which means it'll definitely be dark. And you can definitely cut the lights on. Just my take. I don't know. Drew's probably gonna talk about they got parties and all the other stuff going on, and the traffic, and there's no street lights, and you want to get people to get out of town and all this sundown stuff. I don't know what y'all are about to talk about, Drew. I don't know what you're about to say, but I just know it's a fail if you bring lights on and you're about to do them for the Centennial Homecoming. If you can't cut the lights on, something's wrong, Tuskegee. That's all right. I'm out.
Good stuff. Well, let's take our next break so we can get Brandon involved in this conversation.
Just give you 30 seconds.
AD Drew, you got to come back and I'll let you come back if you got one comment there. You ready to go this break?
Right. You remember how long it took to get the turf redone? The turf was supposed to have been done at the beginning of the season, and the only game they played at Alumni Bowl was homecoming. They were not going to make that mistake and actually schedule to use the lights, and something goes left, and then have to go through the things of changing it. So smart planning. You got to come back next year to actually see the lights.
Yeah. Okay.
Good stuff. Good stuff. With that being said, let's take our last break. We'll come back on the other side and talk about some of these major division matchups.
At AutoMasters LLC, our mission is to serve our community by providing quality automobiles at affordable prices. All of our vehicles are inspected and certified to offer you the confidence in knowing you have a quality vehicle. Our goal is to provide you with a seamless process and positive experience for your automobile purchase. Financing recommendations and specific vehicle inquiries are available at your request. You can find us at www.automasters06.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Also, please feel free to contact Terrence Miles at 601-927-7794. And oh yeah, tell him Sonia sent you.
Choice Hotels is a family of brands that helps you get the most for your money so you can be any traveler you want to be.
You could be a free hot breakfast hero at a comfort hotel.
Yes!
That's how you waffle.
Mister, this script got a plot twist at a Radisson hotel.
A business big leaguer.
Go for key.
Even the ultimate pool float inflator.
With 22 brands and the best value for your money, Choice Hotels has a stay for any you. Book direct at choicehotels.com, where travels come true.
Gotta get the corners.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball, So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have Professor King, Professor Fullfoot, and Professor Drew. With that being said, let's get into this mix. I'm going to go with you, Brandon. You've been patiently waiting. I want you to get into the conversation now. We're going to go straight to Tennessee State. We know you talk a little bit about your concerns of what took place. I'm going to put it kindly. This past Saturday. So we're going to move forward. We're going to let you talk about this matchup. The Tigers have to go on the road. They need this badly to put themselves at least somewhat in the race. Tennessee State Tigers 6-3, 3-2. Western Illinois Leathernecks 3-6, 2-3. I think they're even if they run the table, I think it'll be challenging to put themselves in the playoffs. But if they win against an undefeated Southeast Missouri, that would help make a better argument. But what are your thoughts specifically on this race with the Leathernecks? Can they get it done?
Well, if they want to be playing past the last game of the season, they don't really have a choice. When you look at Western Illinois, granted they are 3-6 and 2-3 in conference, but they're and like I said on our Wednesday show, they're not a tomato can. If Tennessee State comes in and they're flat, or they get off to the start that they did against UT Martin, and we've seen occasionally throughout the season with some of these OVC, Big South OVC teams, they could be in some trouble. This is a team, when you look at offensively, per season numbers, they actually are averaging more points than Tennessee State. But the thing about it is, Western Illinois giveth, on the defensive end, they are the worst scoring defense, the most offensive user-friendly defense in the OVC. They're giving up somewhere, I believe the last time I looked, I want to say 43 points per game. So there's opportunities for the Tigers on the offensive side of the ball, but one thing that they've got to cut out, and it came up last week, are the turnovers. And that's going to come down, as we saw last Saturday, to Draylon Edwards, who has, for the most part, played largely consistent football. His decision-making has been better at any other time, I would say, during his time at TSU. But 3 interceptions, you can't have that. They've got to take care of the football. They're going to, and this is said over and over again, you hear it every week from every coach, from Pop Warner to the NFL. You got to be able to run the football. And that's something, surprisingly, that this Eddie George coach team has actually, it's been really up and down. They use, like I said, multiple running backs you'll see throughout the day. But here's an interesting tip. They actually, Tennessee State has not had a running back run for 100 yards yet on the season.
Wow.
So
that's like FAMU not being able to get in the end zone until they met up last week against Texas Southern.
Which is,
I'm mad that Texas Southern allowed that to happen. I thought they got close early and they stopped, and I said, "Oh, at least it's gonna go a half." Even though they got the end zone, but they passed the ball. I was like, "Ooh, well, the hell about the end zone rushing? We can keep this streak going. We can fight for something." With that being said, we're gonna not belabor the point. We're gonna move to the next game, but before you do that, Brian, AD, just your thoughts. Tennessee State win this game against Western Illinois?
Can they? Yes.
Yes.
Will they?
I'm going yes.
Will they? Not sure. I said this 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to leave it right here, Brandon. It's like Tennessee State always finds a way at the end of the season when they're in the hunt to drop a game they don't need to drop. It happened last week.
Hampton dropped out of the poll rankings last week. They're all the way down outside, right outside though. They're at 8. Hampton Pirates are 5-4, 2-3. Towson Tigers are 4-2, 2-3. Since one of you kind of picked back and forth with Tennessee State, I'm gonna give you a chance. I'm gonna go with you, Brian, to kind of break down the Pirates. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? Towson Tigers, can they get this win? And right the ship a little bit, make sure they finish it over 500, essentially with 6 wins on the season, which would be a statement itself. To be back to 3-3 in the CA, Colonial Athletic Association, now known as the Coastal. With that being said, what are your thoughts in terms of Hampton?
I think what's interesting about Hampton is they've had now 2 games where they have played top 20 teams, conference opponents, top 20 teams, had opportunities to beat both of those teams and came up short. So that those are winnable games. That tells me they're capable. They're capable of this is probably the best that Hampton has been in the CAA. I feel like they finally recruited, or they finally have the talent. They're finally putting it together. Maybe it's the coaching that is actually putting it together, and they've become a middle of the conference, middle tier conference opponent. You know, no longer a doormat in the conference that can only beat HBCUs. So now this is that Towson game where they've got to go win this.
All right. Same question, 80 Drew. Brandon, I'm going to start with you, 80. Not necessarily breakdown. I think Brian did a great job of that. Does Hampton get it done?
Pregnant pause. Intentional.
I know.
Hampton, despite us, we think we know who the better quarterback is in Mays on this season. You know, I'll be the first one to say I was on Chris Zealous to start the season. Looks like I was wrong. Mays needs to take 90% of the snaps. Run Zealous on 3rd and short. Run Zealous in the red zone. Mays takes all of the snaps. Give Zealous a package or 2-point conversion, something along those lines. Other than that, it needs to be Mays. But if Hampton could actually figure that out, Hampton has an outside shot of making the FCS playoffs because of what Brian said, because of how competitive they have been in their conference. They will finish above 500 in their conference. They will have a winning non-conference record against FCSs. So they would have a realistic shot of sneaking in the FCS playoffs if they were to win out.
Interesting breakdown when you talk about it from that perspective. Brandon, Hampton, can they get it done?
This sounds very similar to the Tennessee State situation. It's like, can they?
They can.
The question is, will they? And Drew, I got to agree with you. I got fooled. I was on the Christopher Zealous bandwagon too, until it became obvious that dog don't hunt. I agree. You know, they should, and like I said, May should take the majority of the snaps, and maybe they use him, you know, in the Wildcat or the Tebow type packages to get him onto the field, because he does have some utility, as long as he's not throwing the ball or asked to make quarterback-like decisions. All right.
I thought that came with the position. My bad.
One would think. I mean, this is a game that, like I said, if they have those aspirations, and not only I think for this season, but potentially winning this game could be a defining moment for the program in terms of their time.
I like that.
Because if they can get this, it should say to them that they can really compete in this league, and you can take that out on the road when you can recruit. You can say, hey, look what we're building. We're not just the HBCU killer of the CAA. We are out here competing. And when you sit in the players' living room and you can show them that you're building this thing brick by brick, and they can have something to do with it, that can be huge. So from that standpoint, this is a incredibly huge game for them to win. That being said, they're probably going to lose.
Woo, boy, that was a great breakdown to hear that. Let's move on. As you see, we're going up the rankings. Let's go to 6. This is Southern Jaguars, Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Southern Jaguars coming in 5-4, 4-1. Bethune-Cookman Wildcats are 2-7, 2-3. Wildcats won their last game. Southern is trying to hold on. Depending on how things fall out, they could actually lock up the Western Division. They need a couple of teams to lose, Alcorn to lose, and they need Pine Bluff to lose to lock up the Western Division to get it done. I'm going to go to you, Drew, to give you a chance to break down this matchup, and then I'll ask the proverbial question from Brian and Brandon, who will win the game. So break it down. What are your thoughts on the Southern Jaguars hosting the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats?
I said this somewhere on a podcast. I don't know if it was with Brian or on your show. In July, the BCSN computers was the only thing, the only person, the only machine, whatever, that picked Southern to win the West.
Yeah.
The BCSN computers picked Southern to go 7-1 in the West. Y'all talk about the computer all y'all want to. She right now.
You got it right on now.
She is right. Who would have thought it that we would be talking about clarity in the West? The best in the West is not going to exist this year. Who would have thought that the West would be sewn up before the East? I know I didn't. And because of that, because of the opportunity to eliminate all the stuff, this would be the game Southern loses.
With that being said, Brandon, which way you going? Southern Bethune-Cookman?
I'm gonna make it short and sweet. It's crazy to see that Southern is in the position that they're in, considering everything and even how the season started. But with that being said, I think they'll figure out, they'll find a way to get past Bethune-Cookman. I don't think that even though Southern may try their best to hand them the game, I don't think Bethune-Cookman can take it. And I think they'll get out of there with the dub.
Brian, Bethune-Cookman, Southern.
Man, you're gonna force me to have to. I almost uttered the words "Hail Wildcats," but then I caught myself. I realized that don't sound too good coming out of my mouth. I'll reluctantly go with the home team, but I'm not gonna be surprised if Bethune rolls in there and gets the dub. But I'm gonna go with the home team reluctantly.
Interesting. I'm gonna go to you, Brandon, to break down this matchup. Number 5, Alabama State Hornets are 5-3, 4-1. Everybody knows by now they're deep on the charts in terms of the quarterback. In fact, they actually have a wide receiver playing quarterback, but they just find a way to win. They've gotten 2 big wins to keep them squarely in the race. If they don't look ahead, normally don't, because Grambling State is a tough place to play, and they're always focusing. They're one of the few teams that can go in the hole and has had some success over the years in that matchup. But it's a different day, different Saturday. Grambling State is feeling a little bit of the folks' concern. If you look at the social media platforms and shows out there, people are not happy about what's going on in Tigerland in terms of Grambling. The G, as they like to say in those parts. But number 5, Alabama State Hornets are 5-3, 4-1. They're at Grambling State, that's 4-5. Think about this: they still can have a 1 record, but they're just 1-4 in terms of the conference play, and certainly are outside of any case other than to mess it up for some other teams in terms of the Western Division. What are your thoughts on this match?
Well, Alabama State, like you just said, they got a receiver playing quarterback. They're an injury away from pulling people out of the stands to get under center. So, but the crazy thing is, even with all of that, they still keep finding ways to win ball games. And, that's something that can't be ignored. You look at them on the defensive side of the ball, where they're actually quite good. And I think that they'll find enough offense somehow, some way. They've been putting these wins together with duct tape and hope, and it's been working for them. And I think you combine that with the discombobulation that's going on with Grambling in terms of just everything. They look really out of sorts right now. I think that Alabama State's going to roll in there, and I think they're going to come out with a win. And I think defensively speaking, I think they're going to give the Grambling offense a really hard time. It's going to be a long day, I think, for Miles Crawley and them boys. And I think Alabama State takes the win.
To your point, Miles Crawley is out on injury now, so Grambling has their own backup, which is causing a problem. So you actually have two backups essentially playing in this matchup, which has been a theme of the season for a lot of teams, particularly in the Western Division, and really across the SWAC, where the starter at the beginning of the season is not playing, and not because they weren't necessarily playing well, but because they got injured. With that being said, I'm going to keep this simple. I know what Brian and AD are going to pick on this one because they needed to work this way to make sure that next week becomes interesting.
But that's not why I'm going.
I'll go to AD Drew since he may throw a pin in it and flip it on everybody. But I know where Brian is saying who's going to win this game, Alabama State, because he needs them. AD Drew, did I say that wrong? You put your hand up there. Is that incorrect? Are you going with Grambling?
Alabama State is going to win this game.
Okay.
As bad as the quarterback situation has been at Alabama State, it's been like that for everybody in the West. They just haven't gone as deep with 4 or 5 quarterbacks because there is no sexy name at quarterback in the West.
Other than Pamela, but you're right. Absolutely.
Alabama
and
State.
they're playing a true freshman.
Exactly. You remember that old hoopty that you drove when you was in college, Dr. Cavil, Brandon, and Brian? You know, you were taking on those road trips, and she never broke down on you. She might break down in time where you can call somebody else to help you out, but she never broke down with you on the road. That's Alabama State's offense. It just don't break down. It's simple. It is simple. They do enough to stay in the ball game. They let you make the mistake, and they take advantage of you on defense and special teams. They have those other 2 phases of the game on lock, and they get just enough gas mileage to get you to where you need to be. They beat Alcorn State on a pick 6 and 2 blown coverages on defense. That was their 21 points against Alcorn State. How many times have we seen that against somebody this year?
Good ones. So with that breakdown, we're going to speed it up a little bit. We got 3 more to go, get to the number 1 team. Number 3 is off this week. I would give this one to Brian, but he did such a disservice to the Panthers last night. I'm just kidding. He called it like you see it, and a lot of what y'all said was actually correct in terms of up and down play that you've seen at Prairie View. But I think this is huge. One thing I didn't think you all talked about, the fact is that Prairie View, in a lot of ways, needs this victory in terms of a statement for the coach. This squarely puts them in a position that they need to make sure they have a 500 winning season. They lose this, things get really dicey, and there's no longer a winning season. They go 500 maybe. But I'm fascinated from that perspective. The Rattlers come in at number 4, 5-3, 3-1. The Panthers are 4-5, 2-3. You broke down the records Kelvin did in a great way in terms of the wins Prairie View has and how they're not that impressive. Prairie View hasn't won a conference game at home this year, which is intriguing when you think about it, particularly when they had such a stellar schedule coming in with Texas Southern at home, finishing up at home with FAMU and Alcorn in terms of 3 of the 4 teams in your Western Division. But not to belabor the point in terms of they did get the win in a non-conference homecoming matchup with Texas A&M Commerce that are struggling on the season. They did have a win before that game, give them a little confidence. They scored early in that, held on essentially, scored late to kind of put it out, but they did have to recover an onside kick to verify they would hold on for that homecoming win by 7. As they scored late in garbage time, Commerce scored and was forced to kick an onside kick to see if they could do a desperation Hail Mary. Not to be. So, Brian, any additional thoughts that you want to share on this matchup after you heard me kind of give you some more frameworks to think about? Does that change anything for you?
Not at all. Change is not a thing, Doctor. Great statistics. Great statistics, though. That doesn't change my thoughts. 45-13. It will be the final score. Things up. We enjoy the tailgate. We're gonna come into your crib, eat your barbecue, drink your liquor, and and then we're gonna get back on the plane and head back to Florida.
If it wasn't that you taught me so well while I was down there with Texas Southern and FAMU, I didn't have a problem with your statement. But y'all treated folks good and really well.
It's all part of the plan.
Education at Texas Southern University. So I'm gonna make sure that y'all are treated well. So you don't have to worry about taking no liquor. We're gonna hand it out to you.
Get your road money ready, Dr. Cavil, because Prairie View will not win another game at home this year.
Ooh.
You're gonna have to hit the road to go see you and possibly get a win.
Ugly. He jumped way ahead and just hurt me. With that being said, Brandon, are you gonna cheer me up any? What are your thoughts on this? Or are you gonna stick with the team?
Oh, as much as it pains me to say this, the Rattlers are going to strike again.
I know.
Brandon is on one today. Boy, Brandon is killing them today.
Brandon talking about striking again. Man, it's time to move on. That's enough of that. As I said, 3 is off number Central, so that brings us to number 2. Which is South Carolina State, as Jackson State just edged them off. Brian, AD, at least Brian for sure, is talked about in their polls that they sent to me to record. They are voters. Brandon, I told you can vote. You can start voting. Send it to me early Saturday after everything's off, and I include you in the vote. Everybody's on the show has the ability to vote. Give me your top 10, major and mid-major. You can decide to do both or just one. With that being said, number 2, South Carolina State. They are on the road at Howard University. For those in the MEAC, particular Central fans, they wanting somehow Howard to wake up. They did get a big win last weekend. It was the Florida State, but they won 45-4-5, 1-1. They're hosting the number 2 South Carolina State Bulldogs at a 6-2, 2-0. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup, Brent?
I think South Carolina State is riding high, coming off that win against Central. I just think they've got it rolling, and even if good Howard shows up, much less bad Howard, I don't think they're winning this game. I think that that Coach Berry has got them cats locked in. I mean, I saw the pregame from other. I don't even play football, and I wanted to put on some pads. I mean, he has got those guys just playing as they said, everybody's pulling the rope in the right direction. And I think, the taking it 1 week at a time thing aside, I think they understand what's at stake in the business that they need to take care of. So I think they go into DC and they leave with a win.
Man, Michael Road Dogg talking about 35-21. I'll be excited if we put up 21 points. I hate the fact that he says FAMU had 35, but I do see that as realistic. Maybe we can keep it early, get a couple of turnovers, a long jet lag trip for the Rattlers coming all the way over to Texas. We're going to play Saunders. With that being said, I know Brandon and Brian have their issues with Jackson State on various levels.
Whoa, don't put that on me, Doc. Oh, no. Don't get me in trouble. You'll get D Mafia after me. No.
I didn't mean it like that. I'm just talking about certainly Brandon in terms of the rivalry, even though they're not playing in Southern Heritage Classic anymore. Jackson State and one of my favorite athletic directors, Ashley Robinson, said, y'all got to bring your butt. Jackson, they're gonna rekindle that game. They not going back to Southern Heritage. He said a contract may be on the table. If they can give enough money, he may consider it. So tell your friend up there, go ahead and pile up the money, and they'll join back in the Southern Heritage class.
How great would that game be, Doc? Like, play that game home and home, two stadiums with 50,000 plus. That would be a great game. Each team gets a big gate, probably.
Brandon has the AD VP of athletics over there at Tennessee State number. I can hook it up on my side. I know they come. He has Dr. Mickey Allen. Mickey Allen playing everybody else.
Dr. Cavil, they would have.
I know they did.
Tennessee State would have more people in that one game than they would have the rest of the season combined.
Oh, you know he ain't lying, Brandon. You know he ain't lying.
Might be true. 80 Drew, since you're the fairest one out here, I'm gonna give you the number one team. Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils 0-9, 0-5. At number one, Jackson State Tigers 7-2, 5-0. What are your thoughts on this game? 0-5, 5-0. Does Valley have any chance past the first quarter?
0-5, 5-0. Zero thoughts on this game.
We're talking about Valley?
Yeah, but
we're talking about Valley?
They play Prairie View, who they love to see in their home stadium. They give Prairie View fits down there. And literally was a missed kicker sending to overtime to really make the Prairie View Panther folks feel crazy about that loss and have Mike just not knowing what to say about Valley having a curse after losing twice there in 3 years. But that being said, they got a bit of a revenge. Go ahead, Drew.
I was going to say, I want to quickly go back to the South Carolina State game, though.
Yes, go ahead.
Chennis Berry is the epitome of 1-0. He has won 24 consecutive or 25 consecutive conference games between two conferences on two levels. Think about that. That's taking 1-0 to the next level. And I'm going back to this game because the Jackson State Valley game is a non-topic no matter how you sell it, Dr. Cavil. I am not buying that limit off that call out.
Good stuff. With that being said, you can combine both of these. I guess I didn't get you into the South Carolina State, Howard. Any thoughts from you, Brandon, in terms of that matchup? And then any thoughts on Jackson State, Mississippi Valley State?
No, I got in on the Howard SCSU game.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Y'all made it so quick. I forgot that y'all talked about that. But Jackson State Valley, y'all gonna make that just as quick. Any chance for Valley?
I'll throw the nation a bone. Y'all like to say by 40. Y'all will probably get it this week.
Brian?
I mean, look, another team ranked lower than 110. So I expect Jackson State to do what they do when they play those teams who are ranked worse than 110.
110, lower than 120, Brian. Make sure you get that stat correct.
Well, hold on now. They didn't beat a team that was ranked 109, so I had to say 110.
No, I'm talking about the team that they play in this week.
Well, look, there's a reason why I used that number the way I did. But anyway, so this should be they should get them by 40, whatever they got to do, get the tune-up game. But hey, could it be a look-ahead game? No, probably not. And there's no way you look ahead when you got Valley, right? You got Valley, there's no way you're looking ahead at the Alabama State game. No way.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the Jerome Travis Bowl. The Travis Jerome Bowl next week.
I do wonder, though, with that game happening in Howard, have all the tears dried up in Howard and DC, because they got to focus. Howard's got to focus because here comes South Carolina State. They're not going to cry any tears over what happened on Wednesday and Tuesday night. So Howard, I hope they're ready because if there's still the hangover, then South Carolina State may beat them like they beat Delaware State. I'm just saying it's possible.
That's true. Hell, they might be mad as everybody else out here, and then you don't know what's going to happen if they take it out on South Carolina State Bulldogs. But to your point, that'll do it for us today. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, come from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Mike, let me know how things are going when you hit town, Mike Road Dog. Hey, let me know if AD Suggs wants to go to Memphis. I have some connections. I can make sure that the information is shared. Put that invitation out there. Basically, if it doesn't work out by the numbers the Jackson State requesting, I guess next in line can be FAMU. We'll see if that can work. With that being said, again, we want to thank you for listening to Octaville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. We'll be back on Sunday to talk about all these matchups we just talked about and see how many of these gentlemen are correct and how much are they correct. We'll give you an update of what took place on Saturday. We'll see if there's any more turmoil or is there clarity, both at the mid-major level and the major level. Obviously, we released the major division poll rankings that week as we moving on to week number 11 in the major division, week number 10 in the mid-major, and you're starting to get to play for championship the following week. So it should be interesting on Sunday to see how everything wound up. With that being said, as I said, follow me on Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That is on Twitter. I call it Twitter because I can. Facebook, Instagram. DRKNYATTA CAVIL. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter. Facebook and YouTube is Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We'll talk with you soon. Brian?
Horse.
Brandon?
Lecture.
AD?
Yes.
Hey, man, watch yourself. You're on a Texas. Watch yourself.